If you've ever asked yourself, do I need asset protection? Well, you've come to the right place. And I'm telling you, the answers are going to scare the living you know what out of you. Hi, my name is Dohn Thornton. I'm a senior trust specialist. My career has been in real estate investing. And now I educate business owners, 1099 employees, anyone who's on a W 2 about why asset protection is so important and how this strategy can help you save almost all the money you pay now in taxes. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about three horror stories that have happened to small business owners and property owners, and about what can happen to you if you're not adequately protected in the asset protection side. And so let's jump into the first one right now. So this horror story happened in Georgia, and it's a truck driver who basically had some kind of medical issue and went to his doctor. So very run of the mill, right? You go to the doctor. What you know how it works, right? You go in the doctor's office and you spend 30, 40 minutes reading magazines that are from 1920. And then finally you get called into the exam room and you sit there and wait for another 15, 20 minutes until the doctor decides that she or she is ready to see you. Well, in this situation, the truck driver was laying on the exam table, and the nurse came in, or the tech came in to draw blood. And literally, she's on the exam table. She turned away for a second to put something down on the counter. He passed out, fell off the exam table, and broke his neck. Okay, I mean, think about that, right? Who could plan for that kind of a thing, right? So she turns away for 2 seconds, and exactly that moment, he falls off and breaks his neck. Well, long story short, he sued. Obviously, got an attorney, sued the doctor, sued the insurance, the malpractice insurance, and so on and so forth. So, yada yada yada, as they say in Seinfeld. The doctor and the insurance company had to pay $12 million to the truck driver, and they gave $3 million to the wife, just as an add-on, as a value add, as they say, because they said he couldn't work anymore, and pain and suffering, all that kind of stuff. You know how that goes in the American legal system. So think about that. Now, if no, most, I mean, think about the liability insurance you have to carry to cover a 12, well, actually 12 plus 3, $15 million payout, right? So that's expensive, really expensive. And I don't know if doctors generally carry that kind of that amount of money, but 100%, you are really vulnerable to these types of lawsuits. And that is why it's so important that you have protection. So, in the next, I'm going to take a little break here, but the next section of this video, I'm going to tell you about the convenience store owner that really got into a bad way. But right now, I want you to go down and subscribe to my channel. This information I'm giving you is golden. And it is, if you watch my other videos, you're going to see that this value that I give you, as far as how to avoid these kind of issues with these slip and fall lawsuits, about how you can save your taxes, almost you can legally get your taxes down almost nothing. All this stuff is I'm teaching you here, so that way you can know how to be prepared, and use the tools that the rich use to keep their assets protected and to not pay any taxes. So the next horror story I'm going to tell you right now is about a convenience store in Virginia. And it was a very normal situation. It was a rainstorm, not even a rainstorm, it was just raining. And the convenience store had an awning, like the cloth or plastic thing above the doorway to protect from people from rain. So unfortunately, there was a leak in the awning, and so a puddle started to develop there under the awning in front of the door. Well, someone a customer came in to buy something. Who knows what they were going to buy? Maybe some cigs, maybe some beer, maybe some chips. It's a convenience store, right? Who else goes there? Maybe a hot dog that's been on the grill for 45 days. Who knows? Anyway, this person slipped in the puddle and injured herself. And it turned out that she suffered some injuries that caused seizures. And so she would have these symptoms where she would stare out in space for certain periods of time. It was very difficult for her to recover from this unfortunate slip and fall, right? Well, she got an attorney and they sued the convenience store owners. They sued the insurance company, obviously. The convenience store only had a $2 million liability policy, and the attorneys won $12.2 million against the convenience store. Now, $2 million liability insurance doesn't even dent that. So obviously they had an insurance policy, but the rest of it, the convenience store had to pay. So, and they went after that convenience store personally as well, the owner personally as well. So think about that. If you're a small business owner, you think that you've got $2 million as a liability insurance is going to cover you, and something like this happens, and all of a sudden your entire life is over from a financial point of view. So that is absolutely a worst case scenario that happens more often than you think. So as a small business owner, if you fit that criteria, are you prepared? Ask yourself, are you prepared to withstand that and not have harm come to you when someone eventually sues you? So it's a matter of time. It's going to happen. It's not a question of if it's going to happen. It's a question of when it's going to happen. And the next horror story I'm going to tell you about is about how this real estate investor really got in trouble with a fall. But before that, I do want you to go down and comment. Leave me a comment on this. If you've been sued before, do you work for an insurance company? What do you feel about this? Do you feel like this is good or not? Or if people deserve that kind of money? Most importantly, are you prepared? That's the question I want to know. So leave me a comment. I love to engage with my viewers. So I'd love to. So go down there. Don't be shy and comment, please. And the real estate investors, I'm a real estate investor myself. Okay, so this hits really home to me. Now, I'm not a buy and hold guy. I don't hold property, but you know what? I do fix and flips, and I always am very worried and nervous when I take title to a property and I'm doing a rehab. I always worry, what happens if someone slips and falls? What happens if a contractor falls off a ladder? Anything can happen. As long as that property is in my name or my company's name, I know that I'm vulnerable because it happens a lot. We're in a very litigious society. So I'm gonna tell you about what happened in this case. So this was a apartment up north, and it was in the winter time. And so the plaintiff, the person that was injured, was walking on the sidewalk in front of the building and slipped on some black ice, went back, boom, hit his head, and actually not even just his head, he broke both legs. And because this gentleman had diabetes issues, that brought huge complications with the leg broke. Because in diabetes, your extremities are ones that get hit first, and people. I mean, it's very common as you get later in a diabetic situation, people will have to amputate their extremities, feet, toes, and so on and so forth. That happened to my father. He had a small cut in his foot, and he almost lost his foot because he couldn't stop the bleeding. It wouldn't heal because of the diabetic situation. So that was a cause to get a bigger settlement. So anyway, the apartment building and its insurance company had to pay $7.75 million as a settlement, just because it was winter and somebody slipped. And the lawsuit was that that it wasn't, that the storm was coming, and that the owner was negligent in not preparing for the storm, putting down enough salt or enough de-icing agents on the sidewalk. The apartment owner said that he did sufficient, but again, you see what happens. That false belief that everything was fine, that you were covered, cost $7.75 million. So these horror stories are going to tell you, or should show you, that if you meet this criteria as a small business owner or a real estate investor who has property, then insurance is not enough. Being vigilant is not enough. You need to have another asset in your pocket, or another weapon in your pocket, to protect you. And this is why I'm telling you that the solution is what we call a non-grantor, irrevocable, complex, discretionary spendthrift trust. And the spendthrift trust part of it is the most important. So I'm going to tell you right now how, if these owners had their properties in a trust or their business in a trust, then they would not have had any problems at all. They would have been protected because a spendthrift trust is basically lawsuit proof. I mean, people can file lawsuits, but the judge will toss them because the trust cannot be sued because of the spendthrift provision. And I'm not going to go into more detail about this because it's that I could do 25 different videos about this. But what I want to tell you is that if you and when you get a trust, this particular trust, don't not other trusts out there, this trust, the non-grantor, irrevocable, complex, discretionary spendthrift trust. If you have this and your business assets are in that trust and your personal assets as well, because they can come after you personally, then your assets, your business, your livelihood, your financial future is locked in a titanium vault of asset protection. So when you're thinking about what should I do? Should I have asset protection? Um, Whatever you think you have is not enough. This will protect you 100%. And if you're interested in learning more about this, go down to the description of this video. You can go to my website, you can download my ebook, and then you can reach out to me, schedule a call, and we can talk about how I can make sure what the horror stories that happen here will not happen to you. And I look forward to seeing you next video. Thank you.